Welcome to Sports Banner. This is Bryce, and I'm joined by my co-host Luca. Today we are talking about some basketball. Obviously, it's All-Star Weekend, All-Star Week. You know, we're still in the break. Technically, 2 games happened this past Wednesday, but since this video is coming out on Thursday, the NBA is really starting back up. So before we start that, we're going to talk about our disappointments, our surprises for a lot of these teams in the NBA, and we're going to start with the Eastern Conference. I'm going to introduce the teams, and Luca will say, couple thoughts if he has any.
Yeah.
So for the Eastern Conference, surprises, the Philadelphia 76ers. I didn't expect them to be the number 1 seed. I mean, I knew they were good, but not this good. Right, Luca?
Yeah, no, I mean, they've overperformed a little bit, but it helps that you have Joel Embiid doing so well. I like to make fun of him because of the All-Star thing, but Ben Simmons has actually been pretty good this year too. Yeah, those 2 players have been really helping this team.
Yeah.
They just look good. Shout out to Tobias Harris too.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing really good for them too.
Yeah. Doc Rivers really helping out that team. Also with the shooters surrounding Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, 2 very paint-dominant players with shooters, especially Ben Simmons. He's also a playmaker out of LSU. Go Tigers. Yeah.
No comment.
No comment. All right. Next surprise is the New York Knicks. Right now, they're the 5th seed in the East, which, when I looked at the standings, I didn't think they were that high up. Luca?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I lagged out for a second. Yeah, and this sort of comes down to Julius Randle. Yeah, he's been doing
definitely
great. Yeah. I mean, they just got Derrick Rose too, so hopefully he helps them. This could be a very, very good year for the Knicks.
But okay, I get it, but Tom Thibodeau, he's really planning on winning now. The coach for the New York Knicks, he's known more as a win now player. I mean, and I know it'll help out the players, but trading for Derrick Rose, I don't think getting older is what the Knicks wanted to do, but I mean, it's what's bringing them success right now. So I guess, in a way it helps.
I think it will help his experience. I mean, there's still a good player in that body. It sucks with the injuries he's gotten. But, I mean, even besides those 2, you got someone like R.J. Barrett. You got Elfrid Payton. They're both really good.
Elfrid Payton's old, though.
Elfrid.
R.J. Barrett,
How old is he?
They have a bunch of young guys. R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson, all very young players on this team. And I think, they can really benefit from this winning culture that the Knicks have right now with Derrick Rose on the team. Derrick Rose is a really good mentor for Emmanuel Quickley, especially since this is Quickley's first year in the league. Derrick Rose can help mentor him. And Julius Randle, as you said, Julius Randle's playing the best basketball of his career. He even made it to the All-Star game, so good for the Knicks. The last surprise that I personally have is the Miami Heat. They were literally about to be on my disappointments list because they started off really slowly. But Jimmy Butler came back, and he's come back on a tear. They were 4-10 without Jimmy Butler, and now that he's came back, they're at 500 right now in their record, and they're really bringing it back. They're bringing their record back. They're the 6th seed in the East, and they could stay in the playoffs if they really keep up this good run.
Jimmy Butler. I mean, almost anytime I think about him, I think how good he is. It's a stupid statement, but he is, and he's really important to this Heat team. When I think of Jimmy Butler, I think of one of the best players of the modern game that hasn't won a ring. He really deserves one, and I think their chance was last year. I don't think he'll get another chance with the Heat to win it, but you never know. But besides him, Adebayo has been looking amazing this season. I think
Mhm.
he's really, really helped this Heat team.
Yeah, definitely. And just one more thing about Jimmy Butler before we move on. He actually has better stats than last year, and he didn't even get into the All-Star game.
Really?
I think it might be just because he
I didn't
hasn't
know
played
that.
enough games to really get in. But
Hmm.
yeah, statistically, he has better numbers than last year, and he was an All-Star last year. So interesting how
Yeah, it has
he's
to
been
be the
passed
lack
up
of
on.
games.
Yeah, because like I think that's kind of an obvious one for, unless like yeah, like you said, lack of games. That could be it. Now in the East, I have a lot of disappointments. I have 5 to be exact.
Uh,
Or
yeah.
do you have any surprises actually, Luca?
I mean, were the Celtics supposed to do this well? Because I don't really know much
Yeah,
about the Celtics.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
kind
all right,
of on pace. You know, 4th seed. That's around where they were last year.
yeah. I don't really have much. They were the only team that I was sort of looking at. I was like, ooh,
That's
Celtics.
that's all right.
Yeah, no.
Shout out to the Hornets though.
Disappointments.
Shout out to the Hornets.
Disappointments you brought to the Hornets.
The Hornets are doing really pretty. They're doing pretty good. I mean, just I'm not planning on talking about
Gordon
them, but
Hayward. He's helping
Gordon
them.
Hayward looks really good. Could have been an All-Star. LaMelo Ball looking
Hmm.
like a Rookie of the Year. But yeah,
Ah.
disappointments. Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers are like, they live in the 4th or 5th seed, and right now
Mhm.
they're the 10th seed. And I can't tell you why. I really don't know like what the problem is with them. Like I don't know.
I don't really know either. They're just. I think looking at some of their past scores, they don't really, and this you can say this about any team nowadays, but they don't really know how to defend. I think their defense is sort of their points allowed. So on stats, their
Yeah.
points per game's 112.8. Their points
Mhm.
alloled's 112.5.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good at all.
But that's
If
a lot
the
of these teams. Like
Yeah, but you need to be scoring way more than what you're letting in if it's coming to that close.
yeah, but I mean,
So
honestly, the only 2 teams that are scoring significantly more than they're defending are the Brooklyn Nets and the
it's the
Milwaukee
Nets.
Bucks.
Yeah,
So
for
like,
obvious reasons.
that's really hard. It's harder said than done. But yeah, I just like looking
Mhm.
at the entire East. They just seem average. Like they're not extraordinarily good at scoring. They're
Mhm.
not extraordinarily good at defending. They're just average. And
Yeah, well, they're
you know, they might be able to put it back together. We'll see. But next on the list, I'm letting Luca take the helm on this one because it's the Atlanta Hawks.
yeah, I wasn't really prepared to talk about them because when we were talking about disappointments of the season, Bryce brought up the Hawks. Um, my reasoning of not really thinking about them is because it's an Atlanta team. Sort of, if you're from Atlanta or Georgia, or you support a team from Georgia, you're sort of used to disappointment or not doing much competitively. So sort of numb to these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main thing you can talk about disappointment is that they signed a lot of players. You got Gallinari, got Solomon Hill, Rondon. Hey, Hill puts in work. I will
Okay.
say Hill puts in work. He's
All
not
right.
great, but he puts in work.
That's true. All right.
Bogdanovich, Okongwu from the draft. There's a lot of names that could do something. None of them have been really doing that much. Gallinari, the past couple games, have looked on it, but he's been fighting injury. Rodon, how do you say it, hasn't been doing that much.
Rondo.
Rondo, yeah, I'm just butchering his
Gotcha.
name.
You're good.
But it's just, typical Hawks, typical Atlanta. I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, they just need to get. I don't know. It's a whole mess. Their coaching's bad.
Yeah, that's why they
Uh,
fired Lloyd Pierce.
Yep.
Good for them on that. I mean, there's always next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised your boy Clint Capella isn't carrying them to more wins.
Hey, he hasn't been doing bad though.
Yeah, no, I
I'll say that.
don't, I don't disagree. Clint Capella's, he's been doing, solid work with the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Next team that I
But the
want to talk
problem
about.
with
Oh,
hold up. The problem with saying they'll be there next year is that that's what a lot of people are saying last year. So, yeah, you never know.
yeah, you gotta have hope. But it's Atlanta, 20-3. Anyways, low blow there. The Toronto
I don't care. I'm not a
Raptors.
Falcons fan.
I know, but
They're
Atlanta,
Raptors.
the Raptors.
Sure, yeah.
Some may call them the Tampa Bay Raptors because they have been playing in Tampa Bay the entire season. I think Tampa Bay. I mean, it's either Tampa Bay or somewhere in Florida. Anyways, they're the 8th seed right now, which might seem good, but given that I'm pretty sure they were the 2nd seed last year. So, like, they've started off really slow. But, I mean, they've done a lot to get back to where they are right now. I mean, they're in the 8th seed. That's pretty good. They're really starting to find themselves again. But for right now, they're disappointing me.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think they're gonna perform better and better throughout the end of the season, and they'll be good in the playoffs. I don't think they'll make it that far in the playoffs, but they'll be all right. It, they got good players. Fred Van Fleet, Powell, Kyle Lowry, all them. I think they should be doing better than where they are, but I
Powell?
wouldn't. What?
What the hell did you just say after Fred Van Vliet and before Kyle Lowry?
What do you mean?
I heard like, I don't know what the hell you said. Anyways,
Maybe my voice just like gave out. Oh, I was trying to say Kyle and I just couldn't say his name. I think
Cal.
that's what it. Cal. I mean Kyle. Sorry, just went super country there or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say now.
I
I'm
threw
completely
you
confused.
off.
You just talk.
All right, man. Next disappointment, the Washington Wizards. All right, I get it. They were 7-3 in their last 10 games. I get it, but they are still in the likes. They're in hell with the Hawks and the Cavaliers, and the Magic for that matter, and the Pacers, and the Bulls. Like, okay, you have Bradley Beal. I think he's one of the leading scorers in the league. You have Russell Westbrook, who is a hustler, always getting those rebounds and assists, providing them stats. But he's a good player. Him and Bradley Beal are good players.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why they're in hell, I don't know. They should be a little better, and they've been playing a little better, but still. I mean, I think they want to put a little more fight in them, and they're starting to show it, but still, they're down there with the Cavs, and the Cavs have just fallen off the face of the earth. So, it doesn't make me feel good.
I think what's coming down to the Wizards is stupid performances, silly loses that they could have done something about. Thinking back in the Rockets game from January, they should have won that. Why didn't they? No offense, but your Pelicans, they could have won that game. They didn't. The Hawks, they should probably beat the Hawks, or that should have been a closer game than what it ended up being. They couldn't even score 100 points against the Heat. I mean, they did, but then they lost, and they only scored 95. They couldn't score 100 points against the Knicks. They just don't show up to some games. They show when on their day, they're one of the best teams. But that day doesn't come all the time for them. That day actually comes pretty rarely. And why? I don't know. They just refuse to perform. That's what it looks like.
Hey, for reference with the Pelicans game, because I remember watching that game, Beal scored 47 in that game, and nobody else showed up. So, like,
I think that's a great that's a great point of this whole season. Now Westbrook has been pretty good, but
yeah, Westbrook was injured.
It's
that
been
game.
Beal and the whole season's pretty much looked like Beal and no one else.
Yeah,
It's like no one else really wants to try.
and that is the Washington Wizards in a nutshell. Beal and nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Last team, you were talking about this a little bit before the video, Luca. The Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really know about them is they made the playoffs last year, and to see a team sort of just go downhill 13-23,
Mm-hmm.
and you were a playoff team last year, that's not good. And on current form, they're on a 5-game losing streak. That is just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, the Orlando Magic, they're really
Orlando.
carried. Also, oh, sorry, I got distracted. With the Wizards, they lost again today to the Memphis Grizzlies. So, add another loss. 14-21 for the
great.
Washington Wizards. But the Magic, their life only lives in Nikola Vucevic, of course, the All-Star this year. He is literally the heartbeat of that team, because without him, the team has been awful.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, to give them credit, all right, Evan Fournier has been out for a good amount of the year. You haven't had Jonathan Isaac, very young wing. You haven't had Markelle Fultz, former first-round pick, former number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, the team's been really hurt, but Steve Clifford really, he thrives on not having too much personnel going for him and still thriving. So it's kind of disappointing to see just, how the team's performed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Western Conference time. I've got quite a few surprises in a good way. First off, the number 1 seed, the Utah Jazz.
I mean, yeah. Shout out to Donovan Mitchell. He has been insane this year.
Mm-hmm.
He has been. Anytime I see highlights from Jazz games, I love seeing him. He is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're just awesome. Shout out Jordan Clarkson. He's been good. Coronavirus master Rudy Gobert. He's been pretty good. Yeah, they're definitely overperforming, but 27-9, they're incredible. They are the best team right now in the NBA. So.
Yeah, you're right. They are the best team. Also, whoever put Mike Conley in the All-Star game, I don't understand how he made it, but that's fine.
He's been good. No, he's been good this year.
He's been
good this year, but not like All-Star.
But
not
you know
All-Star.
who's been better? Brandon Ingram. Anyways.
Yeah.
With the Utah Jazz, I talked about him a couple weeks ago. The defense and the three-point shooting really is what is making them thrive, especially the defense and the scoring. I mean, and there's another team that's like also very on par with the Utah Jazz, and that's the number 2 seed in the Phoenix Suns. Another surprise for me because, I mean, last year, besides the bubble, they were pretty bad. But in the bubble, they went 7-0. The only undefeated team in the bubble, and they didn't make the playoffs. And so that really, for those players there, I mean, it put a chip in their shoulder. And Chris Paul, looking to be one of the more valuable players like on this team, because once he got there, they put it all together. Monty Williams got this team coached up, 24-11 so far, and that's just amazing for a team that was a lottery team last season, and now they're the number 2 seed. That's nuts.
Yeah, I think it does go down to Chris Paul. His influence on this team has been incredible. He's 35. I think what he's doing with the Suns right now is you could maybe compare to what LeBron does at the Lakers. Maybe, but in different ways. I think Chris Paul is definitely the leader on here. And, yeah, shout out Devin Booker. He's been great. Yeah, the Suns team, really good. I can see them going pretty far in the playoffs, yeah. Obvious because they're number 2 seed. But I think they have it in them. Yeah.
Yeah, another team, 5th seed, Portland Trail Blazers. I didn't expect them to be this high up, given that Dame is their only impactful player. Damian Lillard is literally the heart and soul of this team. But you have Yusuf Nurkic out. Zach Collins is usually a starter for that team. CJ McCollum, the second star of the Trailblazers team. They're all still injured, and yet they're 21-14. And it's come down to Damian Lillard, and Carmelo Anthony's been looking very solid for I mean, look, 2 years ago, the man didn't have a job, and now he plays important minutes for the Portland Trailblazers.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I agree 100%. Yeah, it is crazy with Carmelo Anthony that no one wants him, and he comes to this team, and he is definitely not the reason why they're this good. But when you have talent like that on the team, it helps because I think experience and knowledge is so useful for the younger guys on the court, and a player like
Facts.
Carmelo Anthony is just it's if he's not asking for tons of money and that kind of stuff, I would definitely want him on my team.
Yeah,
So
shout out to Ennis Cantor. Ennis Cantor, though, he's been racking up some double
yeah,
doubles in the
like
past.
12 rebounds per game. He's crazy.
Yeah, last 6 games he's had double doubles, including the last game, 22 points, 21 rebounds. If that's not an
Yeah, he's
Andre
been killing
Drummond
it.
stat line, I don't know what is. But I mean, look, Ennis Cantor's been playing some good minutes for the Trailblazers. Also, Gary Trent
Hmm.
Jr., good job, man. He is 40% from three.
Wow.
Last team we're talking about for surprises is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, you may think, why is this a surprise? They are 15 and 21. Well, they're 15 and 21 trying to tank. They keep winning for some reason. They don't have a lot of talent on this roster outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is a star, and they were building around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but they literally were taking on bad contracts in order to get draft capital, and they are definitely performing well. This is why, as a Pelicans fan, I'm worried, because this team is supposed to be tanking, and they have the same record as the New Orleans Pelicans, who has 2 star players, 1 generational kind of player in Zion, Brandon Ingram. They have a lot of good pieces with Lonzo Ball, and they have Josh Hart, and yet these 2 teams have the same record.
Yeah, this team, their form they're in, how decent they're doing with like you said, all the bad contracts and trying to purposely tank.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much goes down to Alexander. He has been
Yes.
so good. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 23 points on average.
Mm-hmm.
He's insane. Deserves to be on a better team. He's young. Let him get the starting experience with this team, and I can definitely see him. Unless if the Thunder starts getting good players around him and stuff for the next couple of years, I see Alexander going to a more big market team and stuff.
I don't know about that. I think he's staying. I think this is really good for him. This is a good situation
Really?
for him. Yeah. Because, I mean, you're going to build
Well,
talent.
for
You are building talent
no,
around
definitely.
Gilgeous-Alexander.
What?
You are definitely building
Yeah,
talent around this
if
dude.
if they're building good enough talent, then yeah, he should stay. He's 22. He can stay here for a few years. He doesn't have to go anywhere else for a while.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying at the rate he is, he can definitely he can be one of the best. He is one of the better players right now. He can be in top 5 best players per year. The rate he's going,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
he could. But that doesn't mean he has to leave the team. Like, I think I trust that
No,
process a
you're
little
right,
bit
yeah.
with the Thunder. I mean, I don't see him going anytime soon. We'll see. You
Yeah,
know.
right now he definitely should stay for the next years, next 4 years. I don't know.
And all right, disappointments. I'm taking this one. It's the New Orleans Pelicans. Gosh, this team is absolutely just underperforming. I may have had too high expectations because we just came off of, the Pelicans were in the bubble. They could have made the playoffs. They were high on Brandon Ingram coming off his first All-Star appearance. Zion Williamson looking to get back to full strength. Had a new core with Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams at the starting lineup. But right now, they just feel like the same old team as last year. And I start to wonder, maybe we should have kept the core from last year because this is not looking good. And I'm just gonna start off right here. Starts with the coaching. They claim that they don't want to give the young players like Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Kyle Lewis Jr., and Jackson Hayes minutes. Yet they continue to start Eric Bledsoe, who is literally just a dead point of this team. He is in for 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes a game, and yet he doesn't look like he cares. Kyle Lewis Jr. might be the third most caring player on that team, and yet he doesn't get minutes some games because he's young.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. Brandon Ingram, he's averaging 24 points a game, but he's a defensive liability. He absolutely sucks at that end. At least Zion is trying. JJ Redick, he is, JJ Redick, he is just an amazing three-point shooter. And obviously, like, just given how the season's been, his three-point shot is not, it's kind of not there. He's still trying, but that's okay. But I'm telling you, Stan Van Gundy, he's had too many games where he makes terrible personnel decisions. I'll give you one example right now. Fourth quarter, very closely contested game. He sits Zion Williamson for defensive purposes. Like, that doesn't make any sense. We don't have defenders on this team. Why are you sitting Zion Williamson and putting in Nicolo Melli? Nicolo Melli does not play defense for you. And then one more thing, too. There was a game last week. He closed the game with the bench. And then he said that he didn't put the starters back in because they were showing no effort. Yet, 24 hours later, he subs the lifeless starters in and they lose the game. He went against his word less than 24 hours after he said it. So I hope that Stan Van Gundy takes this time, looks at the team, looks how he's running things, and realizes that he is messing things up. And while he's at it, teach them to play defense.
Yeah, I mean, passionate from a Pelicans fan right there. Not too much I can add on. Williamson and Ingram have been great this year. I think something you didn't really mention, I think more consistent performances from Lonzo Ball would help a lot. He hasn't been trash this year, but if he could be a little better, I think that'd help.
He's been having a career year. So, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that we should write out Lonzo Ball. Because unless there is a trade that completely blows the team away, I think that like keeping Lonzo Ball might be the best move. And if we lose Lonzo Ball in free agency, then we lose him. That's totally okay.
Yeah. And shout out to that guy you mentioned, Lewis Jr. Oh, yeah. If the coach's decision to not play him as much is because he's young, that's such. I know Zion is amazing, but he's 20. Lewis Jr. is only 19. That's not that big of a difference if you're talking young. And if he's really playing with that much passion, shout out to him. He hasn't even started a single game.
Yeah, it's a quote from David Griffin, I guess he's our executive, he's our executive kind of GM for this team, kind of in charge of all the moves. And his explanation was that he didn't like to start the young guys because they want a culture of winning and they want them to earn the minutes. Yet I think that Eric Bledsoe is taking his minutes for granted. And I think there should be kind of a change because, maybe if Bledsoe gets benched for, I don't know, let's say Josh Hart. I mean, then Bledsoe probably would be a little more motivated to play better. Now let's move on. I'm going to calm down. We're going to talk about the All-Star game. The All-Star game, which I didn't watch live.
The All-Star game. I didn't either. Sucks and B-Day couldn't be there because of contact tracing. Ben Simmons, contact tracing too. You should have put Trae Young there in the first place. Stupid, silly, stupid. Oh my gosh. This was probably the MVP. He only played 19 minutes and he scored 35 points. Great game from him.
Nobody was playing defense, though.
I mean, yeah, okay. You expect any team to play defense as the All-Star game?
The highlights,
yeah, no way.
Dude. It was entertaining, though. I mean, Like dunk contest winner Anthony
That's-
Simons.
yeah.
The guy tried to kiss the rim and failed, and he still won. I don't know how that happened. 3-point contest winner Stephen Curry. I didn't even watch it, dude. I'm not surprised. It's Steph Curry. He's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Skills challenge winner Domantas Sabonis. I think he's the only one who actually tried. No wonder he won it.
Yeah.
All-Star MVP, obviously Giannis. But dude, the highlights of this game were so fun to watch. I mean, Curry was flying with an alley-oop dunk. Like I'd never seen anything like it. I didn't realize Curry can get that high, but he did. And then Chris Paul did it too. So I regret not seeing it live, but I mean, there was no defense played either. So I mean, Giannis was like posting people up and dunking it. Like no wonder he won the MVP.
And I know he's very much used to it. Bradley Beal with the most points on his team, 26.
Really?
Just want to shout out to him because it doesn't matter who he's playing for, doesn't matter what the game is, he's gonna show up. So I give major props to Bradley Beal.
You're right, and freaking Curry and
Kyrie did good too with 12 assists.
Curry and Damian
points.
Lillard were like, I don't know.
They
I
looked
watched,
good.
They were taking the craziest shots, and they were like trying to one up each other. That was entertaining to see in the highlights. Just Curry shoots it from half court, makes it. Dame shoots it from half court, makes it too. It's like, what? Dude, these two need to calm down. All right. Blake Griffin signed with the Brooklyn Nets. I told all of you that this would happen, but, you know.
Yeah, I do remember you saying this.
I saw it coming.
And this makes sense. Listen, in Blake Griffin's point of view, he wants to be on a good team. He wants to win now. And who wouldn't want to? He's a good three-point shooter. When he was younger, more in his prime, back in his heyday, all that kind of stuff, he was pretty good at defending. And he doesn't defend as much now, but the Nets, if you can just have him get off the bench and play for a few minutes, some good defense, some good shooting, that is going to help the Nets so much in the long term. I think this is a great deal on both ends, and he adds some awesome depth to this team that badly needs it.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, if you want to see my comments, go back to the video 2 weeks ago. I'll link it up in that card at the top that you can see right there. So, but if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, this has got to be some exciting news because, I mean, Blake Griffin, you know, it's another player. Like, you need players, and there you go. And
star-studded team there. That took forever to say.
Hell yeah. You're right. Games to watch this week, very quickly. Sunday, March 14th. The Spurs, the 7th seed in the West, go against the 76ers. Watch this game. So, like, with the Spurs, you know, I was going to say, like, man, watch to see DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge gel with the younger guys. But LaMarcus Aldridge just agreed to, like, part ways with the Spurs, like, a couple hours ago. So this is kind of awkward. But watch the young guys get minutes and DeMar DeRozan absolutely tear it up against, hopefully, Ben Simmons and Embiid come back because of the contact tracing. We'll see. I
just want to say shout out.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say shout out to DeJounte Murray. I really like him. Hopefully he shows up in that game.
Yeah. You know, because you already know that he can show up and sometimes he doesn't. But, you know, he has. Yeah. He's young. It's fine. Tuesday, March 16th, the Jazz go against the Boston Celtics. Two of the talented teams going at it. Watch for the stars, you know. Utah Jazz, they're 3 all-stars. And Gobert, Mitchell, and Conley versus the 2 all-stars on the Celtics in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Well, that should
be a good game.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that is it for this video, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, share this well with your friends, and until next week, we will see you all in the next video.